Hi, welcome to toddfun.com. Today's fun is the installation of a whole house hot water recycling system. Just as the box says, never wait for hot water ever again. It's a picture of it on the back of the box. It's a pump with a timer control on it, and that hooks up to your top of your hot water heater. Its job is to provide hot water at the faucets anytime that timer says it's on. Our problem here in Arizona is we have our pipes running through our slab, and so in the winter the slab gets cold at night, down in the 40s and sometimes 30s, and so it takes a couple minutes for the hot water to come to a faucet. And at a sink, that was just unacceptable at a sink in the kitchen. So what I had done for the last 8 years is I had this little 2.5 gallon hot water heater. It works the same as an electric hot water heater, runs on 110 outlet. You plug it in under your sink, and you had 2.5 gallons of hot water at your kitchen sink whenever you wanted it. That worked for the last 8 years. I've had to fix it a couple times, but it's now broken to the point where it's not cost effective. By the way, this little thing costs $250. It's almost the same as a full-size water heater, so that ain't no cheap solution, and you only get hot water at one faucet. Whereas this is supposed to give you hot water pretty much at every faucet. We'll talk about how that works here in a second, but it's cheaper. This box costs $200. So that's considerably cheaper. And the concept is that it provides about 80 pounds of pressure leaving your hot water heater and pumps it to one particular faucet, preferably the farthest faucet from your water heater. At that sink, there's a temperature sensing valve that you have to install that crosses over from the hot to the cold. And then that 80 pounds of pressure then pushes that cold water all the way back to the hot water heater through the cold water supply. But then because you're pumping that out of the hot water heater, it goes back to the hot water heater. Well, that's pretty clever, because now you're not just running water to get to the hot water and dumping it down the drain. You're circulating that water back to your hot water heater, so once the cycle's done and it's up to temperature, that valve turns off and it no longer pumps any water around. So you actually take that hot water that you've already heated and you bring it back to your hot water heater. So that's cost savings right there. And you're saving on water because you're not wasting any water in this process. So that's cost saving again. So this can be really an interesting solution. Yes, there is an issue there. You now have hot water in your cold water supply because it brought it back to the hot water by providing that 80 pounds of pressure. Normally you only have 40 pounds of pressure, and that's how the kind of system works. And that valve under your sink will stop the flow, and the whole system shuts down when it senses hot water at that sink. So now when you want cold water, you turn it on and you have to wait for the hot water that may still be there, because of course that water is cooling off when the system's not running. But if there is hot water on the cold side, then you're going to have hot water on the cold side, so that's going to confuse some people when they turn on the cold and they're like, hey, there's hot water here. But it should quickly, turn to cold, and that isn't a big issue for me because I want cold water. I keep it in the fridge, so I don't need that much cold water. Plus, it's going to chill off in that line. It's not going to be real super hot, and I haven't heard too many people complain, but it could cause some confusion. But this should be cheaper now, because I ain't heating water at my sink anymore. I'm heating it in a more economical heating gas-fired system. So that should be even cheaper for me to heat water. Now, I know it's a recycling system. It recycles the water, and it only is getting and coming from the one particular sink, the farthest one from your heater. So what if you want hot water at like a bathroom or someplace else, or something that's on a completely different leg of your hot water supply? Well, you can buy, for another $50, you can buy one of those sensing valves. It's not electrical or anything, it's just a temperature controlled valve. And you put that at the other sink that you want hot water, and then it too will open up and let the system flow hot water through, and you'll have hot water there too. But that's another $50 wherever you want one of those temperature sensing valves. But then if you do put one, normally you'll have some hot water everywhere. If you're recycling hot water to one of the farthest ones, you're going to probably have reasonable hot water at all of your faucets. But if you don't have that, it isn't that much of an expense to have that with another $50 investment of another valve. And it's a kit, so it's just a pretty simple thing to install. So I'm going to open the box, show some things on the bench, and then we're going to do the install and talk about it a little bit. And then I'm going to put this video in a can for about a month or two. And I'm just going to use the system so that at the end of the video you'll know whether or not I saved money, or if the money was the same, and whether or not I liked it, and whether or not I had to buy more of those sensing valves. So stay tuned for that too. Hey, this is the contents of the bag. We have our circulating pump. It's made by Watts, W-A-T-T-S, and there is a website, watts.com. I got this at Home Depot, our local hardware store, and it was $199 or $200. The specs on it here, this one runs on 110, and you just plug it in, and it uses about 220 milliamps, 200.22 amps, and about, well, so it's at 25 watts. Indoor use only, of course. This is the timer, and those little white dots in there, what you do to set when you do want this thing to actually be a functioning circulator system. I have heard where you don't want to do more than about 12 to 14 hours, because then you are, of course, like recirculating the water even when you're sleeping, and there's no point in that. That would get expensive. So the closer you can set these dial to on and offs to when you know you're going to be using your water and you want it hot, that would be better. So if you know you use it in the morning, you can set it for 7 to 8 a.m. and then you can do it again at noon, and then again when you come home from work or whatever. And then of course you save even more money. But like I said earlier, you're bringing that hot water back to your hot water heater, so you're not reheating cold water. You're bringing back hot water to your hot water heater. This is going to just install on top of the water heater. It's got a rubber gasket, so that's going to be pretty easy to install. And then this would normally be coming out, your hot water heater out, and then this goes to your hot water supply for your house. Plugs in regular 110. So that's easy enough. The instruction manual was very easy to read. It's fairly short. It talks about disconnecting your hot water heater, making sure you install it in the correct direction, and you make sure that you stay clear of your, if you got a gas heater like I do, you want to keep this thing away from the exhaust. It talks about how to install the sensing valve. So those are your lines, and this is the sensing valve, and you got the hot comes in and then goes up to where your faucet is. The cold comes in, goes up to where your faucet is. And in the middle here is a temperature sensing valve. This isn't electrical, you don't have to plug it in or anything. But when this senses that the hot water isn't hot because it's been sitting and getting cold, this valve will open, and then this pump will turn on and put about 80 psi through here and push backwards through your cold supply. And the only place where that can go is back to your water heater, because you're pumping this out, you're pumping water out of your water heater, so when you apply that reverse pressure, it's going to go back to your water heater through your cold supply. And it shows how to install it, and then if you want, you can screw it to the wall, but you don't have to. And it talks about some do's and don'ts, which is really simple, and then it just talks about how to set the timer. The only non-intuitive thing on the timer is that you're not supposed to, I guess this cover comes off, and you're not supposed to turn this dial. You're supposed to turn the hands. So don't be spinning this dial, they say. I guess the thing I would like to see more intelligence to this is if this could be like understanding what weekends are and what weekdays are, because then I wouldn't have to do the 12 hours. Then I would definitely set, weekdays would be different than weekend. And the last timer thing is you have a little switch here that's on. That means it's going to have hot water. This pump is running no matter what. It's going to run whenever you need hot water. No timer effect at all. So you can come out and flip this if you've got like a holiday or visitors. You can just flip this and just not worry about it. And then when you want to go back to timing, you just come over here and flip this. I'd like to see a bigger switch for this outside, so that you wouldn't have to take the cover off and get to that little tiny switch. Now you're running on the timer, which makes sense. Now the timer will do on and off. And then if you're going on vacation, just flip it to off, and it's off. And then the only point in that is a clock. You don't lose the clock. And heck, if you want to make it real smart, make it web enabled, Maybe that'll be a future hack. I'll make this all web enabled, where I have a website that'll that I can just connect to with my phone and tell it what I want it to do when I want it to do it, and then not have this mechanicalness at all. That's for another hack. Okay, so everything's installed. We're going to take a quick look at it, and yes, that is my Van de Graaff generator that my daughter built. Works really well, actually. I should put the video up someday for that, but I already filmed it, I just never put it up. So this went in real easy. I was actually lucky. I had this flexible pipe and it flexed real nice. I just disconnected it there and moved it up, and it stays clear of the vent on my gas heater. It's actually running right now. I was worried it was going to be loud, but you can't even hear it, and it is just a trickle of a... I think the cover plate's a little chinky, but I mean, very chinky cover plate, but once it's on, it's pretty tight. Okay, let's go look under the sink. This is my bypass valve, or my temperature sensing valve, and this is... I had this flexible pipe here. It was a little bit more of a fuss. I think other stuff would be better, but at least it was flexible, so I didn't have to use their stuff. That goes in the hot here, and the cold comes in over here, and then this goes up to the cold faucet, and this goes up to the hot faucet. Okay, the installation is done. It really was quite simple. My installation was a little bit different than what they showed in the book, simply because my piping was a little different. I was lucky in that everything was flexible. I could see where, if you're not decent at plumbing, or if you don't have a real good situation like I did, you might want to have a plumber put this in, because it's very, very possible that you could end up having to put a few more pipes in if you don't have the advantage of having that flexible stuff that I had, or it didn't fit on right or something. But if you're pretty handy, you can definitely install this. It took about less than an hour. That included gathering everything and getting everything moved and turning off the water and everything. And just followed the manual. It was pretty straightforward. So now it's just a matter of waiting and seeing how it goes. I'll put this video in the can, and through the magic of editing, I'll see you in about a month. Hi, welcome back. It's been about a month or so, I suppose. I've been shaved for about a month. So that's about how long it's been since I've been using the system. I'm going to go over my final summary of it here in a moment, but first let's look at some data. I got my Fluke 289, which has data logging and trend, and I would use the thermocouple on that, hold under the water stream, and take some measurements of how long it takes from the moment you turn the water on until to heat up, with the system running and without the system running, which would be what it would be like if you didn't have the system. And I'll do a third test where, because hot water is going back through the cold line in this circular system back to the hot water heater, how long does it take for cold water? And how long does it take for that hot water to come back out of the cold water line is a third test. And so I dumped the data that I collected with my Fluke to some Fluke View charts. We'll look at that at the bench, so that we can see that raw data before I go into the summary. Okay, so this is the data dumped from the Fluke, and real quick, here's a video of me taking the temperature measurement, just so you can see how it works for my setup. So you'll see this is flashing over here. That means it's recording every second. And let's see, when we'll turn it on, it's normally pretty cold to start with, because it's water in the tube here until it gets to that crossover below. And I'll go right straight to hot. So we're gotten 80, 90, 92. Okay, so that first little shot was just of me doing the test with the system working, showing it takes about 2 seconds to get up to 88 degrees. But this first chart is the data collection for without the system. The system was off for 22 hours, which I noted in some of the notes for the Fluke View program here. And so this was earlier in the morning, and the water in the pipes were cold, and the slab, of course, was cold, and so the water well, this is the ambient temperature of the room, around 72. As soon as I turned on the water, it immediately dived down to like 64 degrees, which is what the temperature was in the pipes right there in the kitchen. And then you get a little bit of a climb for a few seconds here. But the important thing is that is that the water coming from the pipes in the house take all the way over to 1 minute and 13 seconds to get to this 88-degree mark, which is what I consider 88 to 90 is about the temperature you need to wash your hands. So 1 minute and 13 seconds. And then further on, you have to wait till you can wash dishes, which I figured about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It takes 2 minutes and 7 seconds from this starting point over here. So you gotta wait over 2 minutes of running water before you can start actually filling your sink, which actually I found out lowered the temperature of the water heater by almost 10 degrees because you're running water for 2 minutes, filling your water heater with cold water. So the next chart we want to look at is with the system running. Now this is early in the morning, nobody used the system, but the circulating system was running for about 3 hours. I start right here, this is where I turn on the hot water, and within 2 seconds it jumps up to 88 degrees because that's basically 88 to 90 degrees is where that crossover valve is actually turning off. This valve under the sink will pinch off at about 90 degrees and then stop water flowing back to your, basically stop the circulation. So that's why this stays at about 88 to 90 degrees. And that's there in 2 seconds. But what's nice is that even then, as you run the water, you only wait 28 seconds to get to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what I figure you can run the temperature, wash dishes at, temperature you need. So you're only waiting less than 30 seconds to get up to 120 to start washing dishes, which means you're not dumping all that cold water back into your hot water heater, which means you can get up to an actually higher temperature. You actually get more of this 130 degree water coming from your hot water heater. But once again, as you get into the 2 minute mark, the temperature starts dropping again from your hot water heater because you're dumping that cold water in your hot water heater. And the last chart we'll look at, this is basically showing how long does it take to get cold water. I start right here. So you go 1 second, you're down to 76. That's the chilling effect of the water in the pipe up to the faucet. 4 seconds later, you got 90 degree water on your cold side. So this would confuse people that when they turn on the cold water, they get 40 seconds of fairly warm water. And then it drops off after that, and it takes about 1 minute and 48 seconds to get down to where it leveled off at 63 degrees. Okay, so that was a nice look at the data. So it surely is impressive. 2 seconds to get up to 88 degrees with the circulating system, 1 minute and 13 seconds without the system working. So yeah, that's worth it. Now I would say that it's not as good as, it's not as fast as having the hot water heater, that little hot water heater under the sink. That was 125 degrees instantly, but that was just one sink. I didn't do anything for any other of the sinks in the house, so that was just a single investment in one place. Whereas right now, with just the way it is, with just the one crossover just in the sink, at the kitchen, my daughter's bathroom is always about 90 degrees too. Now, the master bedroom, unfortunately, is off a different route, and it is always just as cold. It's still 1.5 minutes for it to get warm, so if I want to shave or something, which I haven't done in a while, I have to wait 1.5 minutes. But that's okay. Like I said earlier, they do sell this kit. This is the kit. It comes with a couple of pipes, braided flexible hoses, that crossover that maintains the crossover for the temperature control valve, a couple adapters. This is a $40 kit. I got it from Home Depot online. I think the shipping was free. And I'm going to put that in the master bedroom, the master bath, and then that will have instantaneous, 88 degree water right away in the morning. So it'd be really nice in there as well. And that's a small investment. And that will be my whole house. That means every faucet at my house will be 88 degrees almost instantly based on that timer. So, my opinion, I like it. It's actually, with this, it's the same price as a single heater, and my whole house is going to have hot water. And if that pump runs for 10, 15 years, that's going to be great. I like the fact that it's 88 degrees for like 20 minutes. It's like 80 to 93, 94 for like almost 20 seconds. Because that gives you just enough time. You just flip it on hot, and you just wash your hands, rinse a dish, and you're done. Whereas when I used to have the hot water heater, you'd have 125 degrees right away, and that was too hot to wash your hands. So you're always fiddling with, just to wash your hands for 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. You have to adjust the temperature with the hot water heater. Well, with this system, it just turns out you get that 20 seconds of right exact temperature you want just by turning it all the way to hot. And then it starts warming up gradually. It's not such instantaneous hot like it was with having a hot water heater. You had to be careful. You didn't want to just flip that thing right to hot with a hot water heater. You were scalding hot water coming out instantly. So it's actually safer this way, and a much nicer system. And the pump doesn't make any noise. It doesn't cause any problems with the system. I don't hear any noise in my pipes. It just whenever you set that timer for, you have hot water at those pipes. So a real quick summary on the cost effectiveness of this. I really can't go down that road. It's not going to work for me because I've had it for about a month, and in that month we went on vacation and we had a 5-year cold snap where it got down in the teens in this area, which is really cold for the desert here in Arizona. And we were using a lot more gas for heating our house, and our water heater's gas fired. So it would be tough to know what was causing the difference in the bill. The electric bill would be different because the hot water heater under the sink used to be electric, and now of course we have an electric circulating pump that circulates the water. So there's a give and push there. Plus we've been running an electric space heater in one of our rooms, which is really close to a big window, and there's a computer desk there, and so that's been using a lot of electricity, and all that, but plus being on vacation for a while, it's just a 1 month worth of data would be meaningless. I really like the system. Great investment. I recommend it. If you want a whole house hot water recirculating system, this is a really good solution. You can install it yourself if you're somewhat handy. It could get complicated if you are handy, so you might want to think about getting a plumber if you're at all concerned. They get in and out a lot faster for you. But yeah, great system. Thumbs up on the recirculating system by Watts. Thanks for joining.